Let's dive into this complex geopolitical puzzle. The United States has once again waded into the affairs of Venezuela, and people are talking. They're wondering, does this mean Russia and China are going to respond with their own ambitions? We know that historically superpowers rarely sit idle, but how close are Moscow and Beijing watching these moves? You might remember how during the Cold War, global chessboards were played strategically, adding layers of complexity. Fast forward to today, and we sense a new form of it, with Venezuela right at the center. Is it only about oil or regional influence? Think of Maria, a teacher in Caracas, who just wants to teach without fearing what might happen tomorrow. These are real people, caught in a global game. The plot thickens. You see, the U.S. intervention in Venezuela isn't just about humanitarian aid. Oh no, it's a chess move in a bigger game. And guess what? Russia and China are watching closely. You think they're just sitting back? No way. Both these countries have expansionist dreams. And they could use the Venezuela situation to stretch their muscles. Take Yuri, for example, a businessman in Moscow who sees this as an opportunity, not a threat. It's ironic. The U.S. attempts to secure its backyard might actually open the doors for its rivals. So, what do we make of all this? A strange, strange world. As we dive deeper, there's a puzzle we can't ignore. Why intervene in Venezuela, a land rich with oil, and not expect ripples? Think about Russia, sitting back, watching this spectacle unfold. And China, never one to miss a chance, possibly taking notes. The U.S. throws a stone in Venezuela's pond, but are they aware of the waves crashing across the globe? Here's where we pause, to think about old Ben, a historian who's seen it all, wondering why history always repeats itself. I mean, why repeat the Cold War script? That's the irony, the players change, but the game remains. And the stakes? Global influence, and frankly, more than just a game. Ever wonder how Russia and China feel about this American dance? Skeptics might say they're plotting their moves, waiting for the right moment. So, we're left wondering who truly benefits. All right, let's dive deep into this cauldron of geopolitical tension. The U.S. recently decided to intervene in Venezuela, but what's the motive? Is it humanitarian? Or is there something far more pragmatic lurking beneath the surface? Let's not forget our history, like in the Cold War, where interventions had larger strategic goals. Could it be that such moves encourage countries like Russia and China to expand silently while everyone's distracted? Look at Ivan, an average Russian who feels his country's resurgence as something of pride, but at what cost? This big geopolitical game, my friends, has many layers like an onion, and we need to peel them back. When we talk about intervention, one might wonder what really happens when a powerhouse like the U.S. steps in to calm down a nation like Venezuela. Does it send a message of strength, or does it open a Pandora's box for adversaries like Russia and China to expand their ambitions? Let's break this down. Historically, intervention often stirs the global pot and creates ripple effects felt across continents. Think of it like this. A bully sees another bully picking on a smaller kid and suddenly feels empowered. Why? Because now the rules are blurry and power plays become the norm. A lady in Caracas sees these interventions and wonders, who's really gaining here? Let's dig deeper, because the current situation isn't just some routine geopolitical shuffle, is it? We're seeing U.S. intervention in Venezuela, but what's the bigger picture here? So, let's have a chat about how this move could ripple out, potentially emboldening powers like Russia and China. One could argue that when you poke a bear or a dragon, don't they react? And sometimes they fiercely retaliate. Venezuela's vast oil reserves are like the carrot that every superpower would chase, especially those facing economic challenges themselves. Now, enter Sergei, a Russian investor who recently increased his stake in Venezuelan oil. This isn't just business, it's also strategy. So while America's busy trying to stabilize a region, are we inadvertently creating a playground for other ambitious powers? Strong moves, yes, but at what cost? You might believe that the U.S. intervention is primarily about protecting democracy. But let's dive deeper, shall we? The first, undeniable fact is that this involvement in a nation like Venezuela could potentially offer an open ticket. A ticket for both Russia and China to step in with their agendas. And don't you find it interesting how quickly these countries move in the face of global shifts? Remember Alex, an ordinary Venezuelan citizen, now reporting an increased presence of foreign powers. It's almost as if they were waiting for this. And so, what about the claims of maintaining order when it seems more like a geopolitical chess game? Every move made by one is another step closer for these giants, Russia and China, towards their ultimate goals. Or perhaps it's only me seeing the expanding patterns. Who benefits from such games? So let's dive deeper. This U.S. intervention in Venezuela is not just about democracy, it's a geopolitical chess game. We've got to ask ourselves, who's really benefiting here? With every U.S. move, Russia and China are watching. And believe it or not, they might be smiling. You see, American interventions have paved paths before. Remember Iraq? Well, who filled the void there? Russia in Syria and China in Africa. They've been expanding, grabbing opportunities. Venezuela's no different. Imagine Maria, a single mother in Caracas, wondering whose aid she'll rely on next. While she's grappling, superpowers are playing Risk. But it's not a game, it's real life. And let's be honest, Russia and China don't mind front row seats. Are they emboldened? Can they see opportunities? Absolutely. U.S. interventions have unintended echoes, and these echoes can be invitations. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. The question really is whether American actions in Venezuela are sending an unspoken message, perhaps inadvertently, to global power players like Russia and China. Now, you might ask yourself, what's the big deal? Why would Russia or China care about Venezuela? Well, to them, it's a question of influence and geopolitical chess, where every move counts. Let's bring in an angle with local implications. Imagine a Venezuelan observing these superpower games. It seems far off, but it's actually right at their doorstep. So, are we unwittingly provoking an audacious response? And what might be Russia's next move? Or China's? These aren't just theoretical questions. They're real concerns on the geopolitical stage. In Venezuela, the U.S. intervention has raised eyebrows, both at home and abroad. But what does this mean for global power dynamics? Russia and China have been quietly but steadily expanding their influence. And do you really think they're going to sit back and watch the U.S. make moves unchallenged? The intervention serves as a signal, not just to Venezuela, but to global players who were once mere spectators. And the lines are blurred when the persona of a young Venezuelan is used as a pawn in this geopolitical chess game, triggering potential and dangerous responses. So we have to ask ourselves, does the U.S. really grasp the gravity of its actions? Or is this flare of power just an illusion, masking broader ambitions? Well, history shows us that neglected consequences have often spiraled into something much bigger. Let's break it down. The U.S. has resumed its notorious meddling in Venezuela's affairs, but does this give Russia and China the green light? Seems like it. Consider this. Russia and China have been shading under the U.S.'s umbrella of influence for decades, waiting for a slip. And here comes one. We thought the Cold War was over, but look around. The world is shifting, and power vacuums are irresistible. Ho Jin, a local merchant in Caracas, reflects worriedly. He sees Chinese whispers in the marketplace, hinting expansion. So what's the deal? As U.S. persists, Doesn't this just justify others to follow suit? Only time will tell. But the ripples are indeed growing. So we've journeyed through Venezuela's turmoil, Russian maneuvers, and Chinese long-term strategies. But here's the kicker. Could the US's bold intervention actually be inviting more power plays from Russia and China? I mean, if you look closely at the shadow games these countries play on the world stage, it's kind of like a chess match. Think about Javier, a regular guy in Caracas who's just trying to get by. He watches these superpowers moving pieces on their board and wonders how long before these moves impact his life. So here we are, asking ourselves, does the US step, intended to contain chaos, actually fuel a new wave of expansionism? Are we just players in a larger game we can't see the end of?